The talk tonight is on move it or lose it. And my husband and I were just talking about, we were going over this at lunchtime, and it's funny, both of us felt like when we finished the talk, we both said, we just want to go home and work out again. Like, we were so personally excited about the talk today that we both were like, if people don't go home and want to go home and work out, we're going to go home and work out tonight after this. So we're just really excited. This talk is just going to be really, really incredible. It's really a fun talk for me too. And one of the things I feel like that's on a personal note, for those of you, does everybody know about my husband's injury? On a personal note, this title is so interesting because the title is Move It or Lose It, right? And we're thinking exercise. But what's really interesting, we kind of a current update on where we are with the finger situation. Thursday, we went into the therapist, and 4 weeks ago, we decided that we were going to immobilize the ring finger, and they started rehab like 2 weeks after the injury. And there was just, there's no bone in there. So it's floppy, and it's starting to create another joint where the fracture is. And we were like, no, we're not doing that. So we decided to immobilize it 4 weeks ago. And so he started the rehab. And I don't know if you guys have ever done this before, but take this finger, take your ring finger, and everybody try to flex your fingers. Just try to make a fist, holding your ring finger up. How effective is that? It's not, right? So it really hinders the rehab. Can you guys see why it's like you only get so far with the rehab? And I went over this with the team earlier today. So Thursday we go into the therapist, and the therapist says, uh-oh, you see that little crease that you have in your finger in that joint right there? That crease is almost gone. Look at your finger. You guys see the little crease right there in your finger? That's telling you there's a joint there, right? And so the therapist says, uh-oh, the crease looks like it's almost gone. And what that is, now the joint is going to be gone, and it's going to try to act like one full joint, like one full bone, right? And so that was like Thursday. Move It or Lose It talks coming up Monday. We got this, therapist telling us, something very relatable to our situation. So that's Thursday. Friday, we decide that we need to cancel a trip that he was going to take. And then Saturday was our 4-week mark. So we start doing therapy. And when I say we, it's like him, but we are doing a lot of it together. So we start doing therapy Saturday. And he sits in this machine. He's got one of them that actually is a continuous passive motion machine, and it moves. You have to set it, and so he actually got some really decent movement in there. And that was Saturday. Just think about, like, that is such a literal, if you don't move it, you lose it. And so I think that after today, it'll feel a little more personal to you. Maybe not because of a trauma, like we've been through and what we're going through right now, but literally if we don't move our bodies, like we will lose them. And it's like very, very, like it's just in our face right now over something so small, And then the other piece I just wanted to say that's also very personal, a little update. We went to church on Sunday. So this is our Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I'm not going to cry, Michaela. I'm holding it together. I already cried earlier with the team. We go to church on Sunday, and we have an appointment with a pastor to pray for us. And so we go in. I'm like, I'm going to go to the bathroom. I'll meet you out there. Walk out. My husband is surrounded by all these people we don't know. They don't know us. And he's just surrounded. And one lady's like, I feel like the Lord is saying something about one finger. I don't know what that means, but one finger, just something about one finger. And I'm like wrecked. I step back. I take a picture of this whole situation. I got to remember this. And then the other lady, she's like watching it all happen. She walks over and she's like, I feel like the Lord just said something about hope. I don't know what that word means to you. And I'm like, okay. The Holy Spirit's like reading our mail today, just letting us know, like, I got you. Like, yeah, the therapist said the joint's about to be gone, but I got you. One finger, hope, we got you. And so that was like, whew, that was like our like weekend. And then I walk into today and it's move it or lose it. So I'm ready to like get after it with you guys, but I just want to kind of submit that to you guys, just like, whew, we're walking through this with you. I don't care what the issue is that you're dealing with. Like, we're walking through it with you. We're walking through, we have our own like move it or lose it situation that's going on. Maybe it's not 100 pounds, but man, this little finger right here, it sure has occupied a whole lot of our attention. So the title is Move It or Lose It for so many reasons. And so I'm excited. By the end of today, we're going to go through body typing, specific exercise for your body type. And, you might even want to go home and work out after this because you're so inspired by everything. So when you guys see this picture, what's wrong with the picture? What do you guys see? You guys see anything wrong? You guys stare at it for a second, right? What is the escalator doing there, right? At a gym, on the way to the gym. I'm not sure if they're catching the concept, right? So anyway, fitness level and mortality. I love this. The last couple years, you guys have ever heard the term sitting is the new smoking? Have you guys heard that term? Well, I love this report. It says fitness was a significant mortality predictor in older adults independent of overall body fat. So essentially, if you look at risk factor on this side and you look at body fat, because we usually think body fat is like the predictor, but if you look at death risk on this side and body fat, look at the person who is more than 25% body fat. The person who has more than 25% body fat has less risk if they're fit. You guys see that? So double. Unfit or fit. So that's a huge indicator, at least if you're overweight, getting yourself moving toward, it's definitely a positive, encouragement knowing that, hey, at least along the way, I'm lowering my risk while I'm getting more fit and getting leaner, right? So I love that report there. Exercise and depression. Now we saw over the past couple years, right? More people suffering with depression. We saw more anxiety, more depression. I have more patients that would tell me in consults that they would go into their room and they would drink their dinner. Wine, vodka, whatever it was. Like I had more of my patients ever. I've been in practice for 25 years. I've never seen anything like it because of what has happened the past couple of years. And so exercise and depression, your researchers found that walking for 30 minutes each day improved a patient's symptoms faster than antidepressant drugs typically do. So you hear somebody say, like, I got to do something right now. Well, if you move right now, you're going to get your results much faster than antidepressant medications would do. Here's your research on that particular. Now it's just a matter of going out and doing it, right? So the last couple years. Now, have you guys ever followed the blue zones? Anybody follow blue zones? Love the blue zones. So if you ever get a chance and you are a nerd like me, look up the blue zones. The centurions, or people who are over 100 years old, they study in different parts of the world. And this is really cool. A study enrolled 10 90-year-old nursing home residents in an 8-week high-intensity resistance training program. So like we teach, like the Max T3 program that we teach. And the subject experienced an average gain in strength of 174 for hips if you fall, right? If you're stronger, right, you're going to resist that breaking, right? And their thigh muscles increased in size by 9%. Their walking speed increased by 48%. So there's something to be said. And I just will submit to you guys that we've actually been believing a lie. I'm just going to kind of like drop that in there. We've been believing a lie. So this is one of the places that they study centurions, people that are over 100 years old. And these folks, they actually are more active. They're doing more things. They're actually more energetic and they're more functional as they get older. So they're planting, talk about gardens. Like these people are doing major things in the garden. They're using their hands, they're using their body, they're climbing things. They get more active actually as they get older. So I would just really encourage you guys to look at some of the blue zone stuff. I'm going to show you a little video here in a little while, but these people, it just blows my mind, the stuff that they can do. In fact, it's just really inspiring to, I feel like, not believe the lie that we're really believing about aging and what that means. And so, in fact, I feel like what we're told, we're told that, when you age, it's time to, slow down. And really, the slowing down is really what's causing us to age. Do you get what I'm saying? Like if you flip that around, it's the slowing down that's really causing us to age. I'm going to show you what that's about actually here in a little bit. All right, so let's go through the 4 body types. You'll have one image there, but I want to unpack just the 4 different types of body types. So the first one is called a para, and I'm going to unpack each one of them in a little bit, kind of bring up the details for you on this. First one's a para. These are all named for glands. So parathyroid, thyroid gland. Type 2 is called an estro, so it's more estrogen-related gland. Type 3 is supra, and that's for the suprarenal gland, which is going to be sitting right above your kidney. So you guys can see the kidney here. Supra is above the kidney, so suprarenal. So the adrenal gland, we know it is adrenal gland. And type 4 is the neuro, for more of a neurological issues. All right, first type, paratype 1. So if you look at paratype 1, can you guys see the image up there pretty good? So paratype 1, what you're looking at in the body is you're looking at a person who carries their weight evenly. So between the shoulders and the hips, they actually carry their weight evenly. And you can probably think to yourself, like, that may be me. There's a large percentage of para body types. They hold their weight, so they can put on 20 pounds, but and it'll look like to most people like they didn't really gain that much weight, but then they'll end up storing it in the belly. Like that'll be the area where they'll store the weight. Their buttocks are high and round, like that's another characteristic trait of them. And again, the width of the clavicles here, so your clavicle bone is right here, and the width of your hips. So you guys might want to like kind of reach down and feel where your hip bones are, and then reach up and feel where your clavicles are, like right in between. And they'll give you a feel. How many of you guys feel like that's your body type? Anybody? Rebecca's saying yes. That's my body type. In fact, that's everyone in my family except for my husband. I'll tell you his body type in a second. So that's the para body type. Now going into the things that the para body type food-wise, like what they crave. So foods that they crave, let's talk about the foods that they crave. Who says they feel like they're a para? Okay, there's like 5 of us maybe so far, okay. So the para body types, they love snacks, crackers, chips, sweets, candy, coffee, tea, bread, cakes, pies, and desserts, toast and jam, pasta, potatoes, rice, fruit, honey, and they really could try to be a vegetarian. Like they probably could say like, yeah, I'd like to be a vegetarian. I'd try to be. So what foods does that group kind of have in common?
Crunchy.
She said carbs. That's right. Carbs and kind of stimulating, right? Right? And it's all sugar, right? So if a para were to give in to the desires that they have for these types of foods, then they could end up with some health-related issues. And this is so cool to learn about. So their history or their issues that they could end up with is PMS, mood swings, cold hands and feet, pancreatitis. So why pancreatitis? What does pancreas do?
Sugar.
Okay, so sugar, it secretes insulin, right? Which responds to sugar, right? So you can see why you could end up with a pancreas problem, yeah? Okay. What about low blood pressure, skin eruptions, and eczema? So skin eruptions like cystic type stuff anywhere, not just on the skin. It could be, the armpit, bikini line, like skin eruptions around the body, okay? Eczema, thyroid problems, which you talked about, parathyroid, thyroid, right? Fatigue, headaches, brain fog, hypoglycemia, again, going back to the sugar situation, right? Neck and shoulder aches, depression, and wheat intolerance. Everybody with me on that? So how many of us kind of feel like that's probably me? Yeah? We got like 4, possibly a 5th back there. She's shaking her head like, I don't know about that. I'll raise my hand. Okay. So that's paratype, body type 1. Now, estrotype, they carry their weight in their hips and their thighs. So what you'll see is their buttocks are low and flat, okay, low and flat, and the width of their clavicle is more narrow. So they're a little more narrow on the top and a little wider on the bottom, okay? So you would reach up and you would feel the clavicle and you would go, okay, clavicle, you're in a little bit more, hip bones, you're out a little bit more. Guys see that? So that's really what you would assess as far as the body is concerned. How many of you feel like that's you? Anybody? 1? Okay, Kelly, good. All right. Now, what foods do estro body types like? Rich or heavily seasoned foods, favorite. Spicy foods, in fact, this one, their favorite food would be chicken fried steak. Okay? Spicy foods, fried foods, Mexican or Chinese, pizza, French fries, creamy dips, sauces. Who's laughing? It's so funny. Gravies, toppings, whipped cream, ice cream, butter, and chocolate. Okay, somebody have a headache over that one right now? Okay, so what food do you feel like that has more in common? We said carbs a minute ago. What would this food, what kind of, you said it, fat. And really like, not just good fat, but like fried fat, right? Like my husband and I were talking, it's like, he said, what about butter? I go, fried butter. You guys heard them at the fair, fried butter. The estro would love that fried butter right there. Donuts, things that are fried, okay? Some of us say, that's us. And maybe you're a little bit of both, first 1 and 2, okay? But if you had a choice and you were not trying to be good, you're not trying to be good, you're not trying to be following what Dr. Kimberly said that you should be eating, what would this be you? Okay. If you're not trying to be good, this would be you. Okay, there you go. Now, what diseases or disorders would this particular body type have? We said fat, right? Everybody say fat, right? So what organ in your body emulsifies fat? Gallbladder, liver, gallbladder. Gallbladder's your big one, right? So let's get into the kind of the diseases or disorders. Aching feet, hepatitis and jaundice. We said liver, gallbladder, right? Because that's where you're going to break down your fats, right? Arthritis, high cholesterol, diabetes, gallbladder problems. A lot of these people have their gallbladders removed. Like this becomes a thing where it's like, okay, more common than not, this one has their gallbladder removed because they just get so filled up with gallstones and they didn't meet me before and know that they could do the liver gallbladder cleanse to save their gallbladder. And so they end up getting the gallbladder removed, okay? So gallbladder problems, cirrhosis, again, fatty what? Liver, right? Hysterectomy, so a lot of estro hormonal kind of imbalances. Then cataracts, so they get the floating bad. It's almost like floating bad stuff over like fats over your eyes, like those cataracts in there. It's oxidized, right? It's fat that's just oxidized. Breast lumps and tumors, psoriasis, menstrual problems, cystitis, so this is going to be bladder issues, urinary problems, hay fever, and prostate problems in men. So now who kind of feels like that may be, anybody else? Just 2? Maybe 2 of you? Okay, very good. Now supra, this is my husband, so supra body type. So they carry their weight in their upper body, especially in their stomach. So they're wider in their shoulders and more narrow in their hips, okay? And they don't really have their butt. He's kind of a combo, like his dad is all supra, his twin brother's all supra. And so more no butts, like they don't really have as much, they're smaller. Their butts are small compared to up here, they're higher and they're bigger in their chest, smaller in their bottoms. And so width of the clavicle is wider and the distance of their hips is more narrow, okay? Okay, foods that they crave. So they crave alcohol. They crave, look at on here, chicken, pork chops, ham and bacon, Steak, who said it? Steak, right? Steak, hamburger, seafood, hot dogs, salami, pickles, olives, garlic, nuts, peanuts, eggs, salt, and salty foods. So what do you see? You see protein, and what else do you see? Protein and like salty, right? Salty type stuff, right? And then the alcohol, right? The kind of the downing, kind of relaxing kind of thing. And so what are some, speaking of the alcohol, health-related issues, alcohol addiction, so a lot of supras, more of them can end up, paras can be alcoholics as well too, but supras can tend to be more alcoholic addicted. Arteriosclerosis, sciatica, because that butt is flat and smaller, right? And so high blood pressure, back problems, again, the high blood pressure, they're wider in their shoulders, so more weight carried up in the top part of their body. Loss of hearing, belching, kidneys. Why? Because of that protein. So eating so much protein and so much salty, and they don't break it down, so they end up with kidney problems. So kidney stones, gout. You've heard of gout where the toes and the ankles and the feet can kind of get swollen. Gout is going to be a very high prevalence for supra body types. Any heart disease, gingivitis, bleeding gums, acid reflux, ear infections, heartburn, and indigestion. So those are going to be the main ones. So how many of you feel like that's you? Yeah, supra body types. Again, these are the food choices that you would eat if you weren't trying to be good, right? If you didn't know better, right? I mean, I know that I'm not supposed to be eating cookies all day long, so I eat advanced pan cookies as often as I can. Okay, and then the fourth body type, the neuro body type carries their weight evenly. So they're literally like, don't have a waist. Their shoulders, their waist, and their hips are just even, straight up and down. And so the remainder, they remain similar since they're teens. They just don't really look older. And there's no real distinction between, again, the clavicle, the waist, and the hip. They carry their weight evenly, and they're actually, body can be very soft. So foods that they crave, their favorite food in the world, if they weren't trying to be good, would be cereal. Dairy products, milk, cheese, hard cream, ice cream, frozen yogurt, cottage cheese, fruit, cereal, whipped cream, routine meals, and sweets. What do you see as the kind of like the pattern there of what foods? Say it again. Dairy and sugar. That's exactly right. That is their favorite. That's the reason why cereal is like their favorite. And funny, I just met with a neuro on Friday. It was so cool. I met with this neuro on Friday, and he was like, yeah, like I do the keto plan. I'm like, all right, so like tell me what you're eating. And he starts telling me, and I go, can I just stop you for a second? He's like, yeah. I go, is your favorite food cereal? He was like, yeah, like how'd you know? And I was like, do you have like 6 or 7 or 8 boxes in your house that you're just like it's a variety of like, he goes, yes. He goes, I go to Sprouts, and he goes, it's Sprouts, so I could like eat as many as I want because it's Sprouts, right? I was like, well, that's not quite keto. But it's really cool just to be able, like, I already kind of knew when he was walking in, and he was just like, how did she know that? Just one of those things, you know? And so the health-related issues are going to be aching knees, Crohn's disease, right? So diverticulitis, so a lot of like digestive inflammation of their digestive tract, right? Frequent infections, hives. They can have a lot of immune compromise because of the dairy and the milk issues. Irritable bowel, colds, and notice there's a lot of digestive stuff there. So Crohn's, diverticulitis, look at all the digestive things on there. Colds, milk intolerance, and they still drink it. They're just intolerant to it. Colitis, so notice all the digestive things up there? So many digestive issues up there. Asthma, weak constitution, chronic allergies, seasonal food, and chemical environmental sensitivity. So they can have a lot of health-related issues if they give into their desire to eat all those foods. And so what you'll notice is that we've got these food cravings, right? And it's like we're craving all these things, but it's not necessarily the thing that we need. So for example, para, if you just kind of in a nutshell, They'll crave sweets, but they need what? And so this is a person who thinks like, I could be a vegetarian. Like, yes. And when I first learned about this, I was trying to calculate how long I've been doing body types. I think it's been 27 years I've been doing body typing. And I'm like, I'm that old? What? So I've been doing this 27 years. And when I learned and I got certified in doing this, they had this test before they did the measuring, and you would take a sample of your saliva and they would find out what you didn't break down. And so I did the test of my saliva, and there's salad in my saliva that was not broken down. And so that's because the paras like carbs, but they need help breaking them down. And so it was really powerful. In fact, when I went there to learn from this company and this family, I actually learned from Dr. Dickie Fuller herself. She wrote this book. It's really a powerful book. And when I learned from them, I walked in the door and I had like really rashy, like both sides of my cheeks were really rashy. And they looked at me and they're like, ooh, girl, you got candidiasis. And I was like, what? Now what? Now what's that? Like, I didn't know what she was talking about. And she's like, yeah, she goes, we're going to measure you. And I was like, okay. And so she's asking me what I was eating at the time. And have you guys ever heard of the Hallelujah diet? Did anybody hear about that? The Hallelujah diet kind of was popular about 30 years ago. And they basically would eat fruit all morning. And then at lunchtime, from lunch on, you'd eat vegetables. And so that was like a dream for me. Like, right? Just a dream for me, because the para was like really happy. But they were like, oh, you just gave yourself candidiasis because all you were doing was eating carbohydrates all day. Even if they were good, you just don't have the enzyme necessary. And what you need is a thing you're not drawn to. And so I was just repulsed by protein. And so as soon as I started eating animal protein, and of course it was good, organic, grass-fed, grass-finished, we didn't have the issues 30 years ago as much as we have right now. But as soon as I started doing that, the candidiasis was gone. So that was like a real eye-opener, like going through and learning about that stuff. And this is just I've had patients in my office come in who try to be vegetarians. And I'm like, do you think you might try something different? Like, could I convince you? And one of my patients who, a young girl, 19 years old, she was super depressed and had all the symptoms of a para. And we just changed things around for her, and her life just dramatically changed. She started she didn't want to wash her hair, get dressed, or put makeup on, or get a job. And as soon as she switched things around, she came in, she had her makeup on, her hair done, she got a job. Her countenance changed dramatically because what she needed, was she needed a lot more protein in her life. So that was really fun. That's one of the reasons why I love doing what I do. I get to kind of get to the bottom of what people are dealing with, and it's really fun to see them get their lives back. So type 2, okay, estro. They crave, what did we say? Fatty, spicy, salty, starchy foods. So really a lot of flavor. They like the flavorful. That's what they crave. But they need more fruits and veggies and lean meats. That's really what they need. They need kind of that balance there. And we're going to get into, I want to talk about when we finish this, the different digestive enzymes each one would need based upon the issues that they have as well. So type 3, based upon what we said, what did we say they need? Do you guys remember? Or they like, what do they crave? Salt and meats and alcohol, right? And chocolate. But they need fruits, vegetables, and lean meat. So they need a lot more raw stuff. And what's interesting is you'll find out there people who start diet fads, like this particular diet fad would be called what? Somebody who eats lots of protein, who pushes the protein-only diet. Do you remember what that was called? That's fat. Do you remember it was Atkins, right? My husband, we were talking earlier, he goes, it's probably not a good idea to promote a diet that you die from. Probably not a good idea to do that. So, but that was Atkins. That's what you see with a lot of people is they'll promote a diet that they think is just everybody should do, but that's because that's their body type. And they go after it because that's the way that their body is, they crave, and their body shape and everything. And so this would be more of an Atkins type of a diet, but would be terrible for him if he only ate protein all day, because we'd end up with kidney problems and gout and arthritis and things like that. And so type 4, the neuro craves milk, sugar, dairy, and they need protein. They do not crave protein. Like they are not going to want a steak. No way. That's not what they're going to want. And so those are the different body types. Now, let me get into how does food affect your mood. So every body type has like kind of a bit of a personality or like a mood that goes along with it, which is really fun. So can you guys guess what the personality would be of like someone who likes carbs all day? Like what would their personality be like? Any guess?
Crabby.
Say it again.
Crabby.
Crabby, that's an interesting, I like that. Any other thing? So paras are more witty. Their personalities are more witty. They're more sanguine, procrastinator. They love everybody. They're healers, and they need a lot of change. They need change and stimulation. That's their body type. Estros are more mothering, caretakers, sympathetic, and melancholy. Who's dialing in 1 or 2? You're 2. Okay, does that help? Like now you're getting more and like, okay, no, that's definitely me. Yep, okay. And then Supras are A-type, like they're the drivers, right? That's my husband, right? Choleric, leader, strong-minded, and driven, right? That's that personality of the Supra. Again, the suprarenal, that's that adrenal, so that just hard charging, right? And the estro, that's more mothering, nurturing, right? Okay, and then neuro. The neuro is more phlegmatic. They're inventors, they're introverts, they're thinkers, and they're creative, right? That's the neuro body type. Okay, how to measure. This is just a quick picture on how to measure. So just, you go home and you kind of look at the spot. I would just reach up and kind of feel that crease in where your shoulder divots, kind of like that crease. So you just want, feel right in there. Yep, that little crease where you can kind of feel it right in there. And when you reach down in your hips, that little bone that sticks out right there in the front, those are you can kind of look in the mirror at yourself later and just kind of get a feel for what you are when you go home. But most of you does everybody kind of feel like they know what they are now just by learning that? Okay, good. Most of you already know. So do you guys have that sheet in front of you? So you'll notice on here, I'm going to go into the exercise component on the far right end. This component is what we want to get into next. And you're going to know, I would circle which body type you feel like you know that you are. And these body types, when you get into the exercise component, this is the best form of exercise for your body type. You might be not exercising at all, and so you might have to work yourself into getting to the best and give yourself a goal of getting there. But this is literally the best to bring your body into balance, this particular body type. And so you guys know about Max T3, right? Does everybody here know about Max T3? Who doesn't know about Max T3? Okay. So Max T3 is the type of the workout plan that we have in our office. And it's literally so you have something, but most of us kind of have things that maybe we've done in the past that we've loved. Like some of you are cyclists. Like you really, if you could choose to, you would ride a bike. And some of you, if you could choose to, you would swim. Some of you, if you could choose to, you would do yoga. Like you have some things that you really are drawn to already. But Max T3 really gives you that high intensity. So you're hitting it hard for a short period of time. So you're sucking in a lot of oxygen and you're boosting your growth hormone. That's really HIIT. You guys have heard the term HIIT, high intensity. And so you'll go to all these places like Orange Theory, and then what else is out there? CrossFit, what else is out there that does it? Any other workout programs are kind of like based upon the HIIT program? 9 round, yeah. 9 round, another really great workout. But again, it's a combo of here and here, right? Kicking and punching. Beautiful combination there. Before we go into the exercise components, I just want to comment on hydration and just make sure we're aware 75% of us is water, right? And so it's essential for you to be able to detoxify. And right now in the past couple years, we've never needed to detoxify more ever in our life than in the last 2 years. And so it unlocks food energy, just making sure that if you do get dehydrated, dehydration will cause you 2%, just 2% dehydration will cause you to be 10% in your loss of performance. And if you get dehydrated by 4%, only 4%, it'll crush your performance by 20 to 30%. So when you start your workout routines, like Zoe's been really hitting it hard this summer. And so she's just like taking 2 huge water bottles when she goes to the gym. Just make sure you stay hydrated for you to be able to detoxify. So I'm going to go through the exercises right now and make sure you know kind of what the exercise should be for each body type. There's a key word for each one of them. So the key word for para is catabolism. Everybody say catabolism. Catabolism. Big word, catabolism. And really what it means is the para body type goes through a state of catabolism all the time. That's where they use their own muscle for energy. So this is the person who puts muscle on really fast when they work out, and when they stop, they lose it just as fast because they're in a state of catabolism all the time. So that's the person who you could feel, and I do that with you guys where I'll feel your arms. I'll go, let me feel your arms. And if there's any muscle tone or not any muscle tone there, that gives me an indication of kind of where you are in your health. If your arms are soft and you're a para body type, you're not strength training enough. And if you don't strength train enough, it'll throw you out of balance like you've never even seen. Mood related issues off the charts because of not strength training. So what they need for their exercise, because they're in catabolism all the time, is they need 4 consecutive days a week of strength training. 4 consecutive, that was a key, guys. Consecutive days of strength training. And it's 45 minutes of all the body parts. So you would basically do biceps, triceps, shoulders, you do all the body parts. And you would do it where you do 3 sets for each body part, and one of those sets is 90% of your max. So if you could just do 15 pounds is all you could do and you're just shaking, that's 90% of your max, okay? So you would do 3 sets maybe for your biceps, but you would make sure one of those sets is where you are just hitting it hard, okay? That is because you're in catabolism all the time. So you're burning your own muscle for energy all the time unless you are constantly restoring that by actually exercising and putting on muscle. Is that frustrating? Is frustrating, yeah. Okay, so that is, and then cardio for this particular body type, twice a week longer. So you could pick twice a week longer runs or longer cycles or longer whatever, up to 90 minutes, and 4 times a week shorter, 25 to 30 minutes. Again, remember, state catabolism. So you want to make sure if this particular body type only does cardio, can you see how we're going to end up really imbalanced? Because you're basically going to be burning your own muscle if you're just doing cardio. And some of you just like to do cardio. You'd rather just go to the gym and just get on the treadmill and just crush it with cardio. But nothing would be better for a para to balance their mood than to eat protein and strength train. This is a much more balanced, easier to be around, less emotional, less want to cry and punch the wall, whatever. This particular person can get really out of balance if they don't do this. Yes?
Go day before or after the workout?
After. Yep, that's going to be the best. All right, good. So let's go to body type 2, so estro. What did we learn about estros? We said they like what kind of foods? Fatty, spicy, fried butter, right? Right? So keeping that in mind, right? Keep that perspective in mind, because if they're not being good, they're eating a lot of those foods. And if they're not in here, and I'm not going no, we're not doing that, they're going to gravitate toward those foods that they're carnally wanting, right? Their body's craving, right? And so because of that, their key word is detoxification. So say detoxification. The key word for an estro is detoxification. So their body type needs to do cardio first, then do their exercise, strength train, because they need to get the sweat going. That means cardio to a point where you do sweat. Not just cardio where you're stepping on the treadmill and you're doing this. I mean cardio where you're making yourself really sweat. Sauna would be good for this particular body type on a regular basis, because they need to get the detoxification going. You guys are laughing over something over there.
QVC. I was wondering QVC had a sauna for her.
Okay. That's good.
It's a family dinner.
Oh, yay. Okay, so looking at what they should do for strengthening. Now, we also said, what else did we say about an estro? We said they're more narrow in their shoulders and wider in their hips. This means that their upper body is going to be a little weaker. So they need 5 days of strength. 3 of them are for their upper body. So focus 3 of your days on shoulders, biceps, triceps, exercise for the chest, back up. Exercise for the upper body is going to be 3 days of the week. And then 2 days will be lower body because their legs tend to be stronger. Okay, they're wider in their hips, more narrow in the shoulders. And so 6 days a week, 25 to 40 minutes of cardio, they make great runners. They make great, whether they don't like it or not, they make great runners. She's like, no, I don't want to be a runner. They make great runners. So do the cardio at the beginning of your workout for that detoxification breakdown. Okay, good. We're going to dump out all those nasty fats that we've not been breaking down in there, okay? Now, Supra. What did we say about Supras? We said they like what kind of food? They like alcohol. I forgot the alcohol part. They like the meat, right? They like the alcohol, they like the meat, and they like the salt, right? And so since they don't break that all down very well, they can get those crystals that like to hang out in their joints. So they wake up and they're the stiffest of all body types. They need to stretch all the time. They are stretching. You're nodding your head, yes. They are so stiff all the time. So they need to do a lot of stretching. Say stretching. Stretching. So paras go through a state of catabolism, right? So they need strength train. Estros need to detoxify. And supras need to do a lot of stretching. So incorporating yoga type stuff or before you strength train, a good amount of stretching is so good for a supra because it gets those crystals out of their joints, okay? So stretching, very important. Now, they are stronger. Remember we said they have wider chests, more narrow hips, so they're stronger in their upper body. So stronger in their upper body, 4 days a week of strength training, 2 are upper, 2 are lower. And then their cardio, 6 days a week, 4 days lower intensity, so that yoga type stuff, right? And then 2 days higher intensity. So that's really the best exercise for a supra body type, okay? Good? Now, neuro is going to be type 4. They need to get outside and move. Otherwise, they're obsessing and thinking about stuff all the time. Like their brain just keeps on going, right? They're just cranking on everything. So if they get outside, they can't obsess because now they got to pay attention to where they're walking and it distracts them. And so getting outside and moving 4 days a week of lifting, 2 upper, 2 lower. Remember, they're even all the way up and down, right? 2 upper, 2 lower. And 6 days a week of cardio, 4 days of running or 2 days of low intensity. Those are going to be the best, again, ideally, for each body type. These are the ideals. If you can't do those things, then you do the best that you can. But I think the key is we got to move it or we're going to lose it, right? That's really the key that we want to make sure of. Now, I want to talk about digestive enzymes. I'm actually super, super impressed with this particular digestive enzyme that we have because if we go back to the para, are the digestive enzymes on there, like which ones need on the sheet? Okay, I'm going to tell you what type 1 needs. You can write it on there. So if type 1 craves carbs, then what they need is digestive enzymes to break carbs down, right? Because they crave them, they don't break them down. Remember my salad showed up in the test that I did. So they need amylase, AMYLASE, which this product has amylase in its proprietary blend. So that means that paras can take this, okay? Okay, so amylase is really important for the para body type. And this is something that when you eat your food, you would just take a digestive enzyme with it so that it helps to break down that food and it's not showing up in your undigested, okay? Now, the second body type we said is an estro. Estros tend to like what? fried or fat foods, right? So they don't break that fat down, so they need something to help them break fats down. Well, what breaks fats down? You can write this on there for that. So ox bile, O-X-B-I-L-E, ox bile helps break fat down. And lipase, L-I-P-A-S-E, lipase. So lipid lipase, ox bile for breaking down the bile, because the gallbladder releases bile to break down fat. If you don't have a gallbladder, then you really need it, okay? And again, you're gonna take this with your meals. So 1 or 2 capsules with the meal, depending upon how big the meal is. You know, like if you have a bigger meal, you'll know it if you didn't break it down, okay? Okay, third body type is the supra. What foods do they crave? Meat. So that is protein. So they need the enzyme that breaks protein down, which is protease, okay? Protease. You can put that under them, protease. There's 2 other enzymes that breaks it down, peptidase and pepsin. Peptidase and pepsin. All the P's kind of helps a little bit there. You guys got it? Okay, and then neuro body type number 4, they crave a lot of dairy and sugar. So what do we need to break down dairy? What do we need?
Lactase.
There we go, lactase. So we got lactase in here, right? And then we got amylase, because they need to help breaking down their carbs as well, okay? So what you'll find in this is you literally would just take this and keep it in your purse if you or travel around, you're not at home, and you just make sure you have your digestive enzymes around. We don't miss these, we just take these. And it'll help you break those foods down that each of these body types don't do well breaking down, okay? And notice how this actually hits them all, which is beautiful, okay? So that's really good on the digestive enzymes. Any questions on that? Is good?
3 meals, every meal if you can, or just
So any of the, it doesn't, I mean, if you want to do intermittent fasting, if you want to do any of the, those are fine. Like if you, for each body type, it's fine. It's just a matter of whether you're going to break the food down or not. I'm telling you, I find that as we get older, I feel like our exercise gets way, way less and our food gets more. And so then we see the result of that, right? So what we've got to do is we've got to flip it around. We need less food because we're not actually growing anymore, right? So we need less food and we need more movement. You know, that's really what I found. Metabolic burn is the next part in the bundle that we have. So the metabolic burn, this particular product here, if you know I need to lose weight and I'm trying to lose weight, that's what this particular product is for. Also, if you're trying to balance your blood sugars and that's kind of what's hindering you from losing weight, metabolic burn has actually got all the ingredients in there to help stimulate your energy pathways. That green tea extract also is one of those things that really helps with, it's very popular right now, helps with weight loss as well. So it's just got a really beautiful blend of herbs and essential minerals and vitamins in there in a nice blend. And you basically, what you do with this is you would take 2, you asked me about numbers of meals a day, you would just take 2 at 2 meals. So if you eat breakfast and lunch, like take it there. If you eat lunch and dinner, if you, it doesn't matter, just 2 at the 2 meals that you have a day, that's fine. And then the Pure Path bone broth. Who uses the bone broth? This is like probably one of my favorite products right here. I use this for, I'm a dessert person, so I'll use this for almond bars. I'll use this for brownies. And yes, I have brownies for breakfast. I'm a para. I still like the dessert, so I make sure I can have them. I just make sure that they're good, that I can have. They have protein in them. And so this has the best form of protein. I was I was with the MaxMet team today in Orlando, and I really think that this may be one of the only foods that we have left out there that's non-GMO, grass-fed, grass-finished. Like they're poisoning our food so terribly that this could be the only place that we actually get a good meal. Unless you know that you've raised a cow properly and it's gone through properly what it's eaten when it was raised, it didn't get injected with hormones, and then you actually slaughter them properly. Like, it's crazy the stuff that we're getting. And so this particular product, again, I feel like it's going to be one of those things that we're not getting the food that we're getting, and because we're being poisoned, like, that's just, I'm a little nervous about that. So it's just getting a little scary out there, and making sure that you have a good protein source. I think that's really the place where if you just make sure one of your meals, like, you can start all your morning out, every body type could start their morning out with a protein shake, and throwing that, a scoop in your blender, and then putting either unsweetened almond milk in there, or your coconut milk in there, or I think there's even flax, things like a flax milk out there as well too. If you can put that in there as like the liquid pour, or you can do water. You can put that in there, and then use, instead of frozen, like instead of ice cubes, you can use frozen strawberries as your ice cubes. And that will give it the cold and smoothie kind of consistency. If you need to be a little sweeter and you're a para, like me, then you might put a little more stevia, like this stevia that we have. If you're a supra and you're like, God, it's too sweet already, then you might throw some cacao in there to make it a little stronger. Right? You guys with me on that? Has anybody met Dorota? Okay. She's my supra. She's my Polish storm. That's what we call her, the Polish storm. And she's more of a supra. So we make sure with her and people that are supras like her that cacao makes it a little stronger. It gives it a little bit more of a bitter taste. Okay? You guys with me on that? Okay. So that bundle's available tonight. Now I'm going to end on a couple things right here, but this is actually the best part of right now, I feel like. One of the things that I feel like we need to walk away tonight with is just knowing the importance of moving our body. And movement charges your brain's battery. Your brain really is the battery for this body right here, right? And so it makes you think better, it makes you feel better, and it makes you function better. If you imagine that, how many of you drive a Tesla, or people who've driven a Tesla? Okay, so the Tesla has what to it? Like, what do we do with the Tesla? We have to do what? We have to charge it, right? So we do what? We plug it in, right? And when is the most important charge to the Tesla? When? What did you say?
Before you start.
Right in when you first get it, right? For that battery. And so it's much like babies. Same. Like when they're first born, that's the most important time to make sure that you charge that battery. Same thing on a Tesla and on our bodies, just knowing that this is the battery that we should be charging all day. I don't know if you guys know this, but 95% of the charge to this battery right here comes from your spine. Think about that for a second. I could work out every day of my life, but have a subluxation in my spine, right? Or my spine's all bent and there's no motion going on in my spine. Then what happens is I lose the charge to my battery. So again, there's a couple things going on. We're believing a lie, and one lie says, as we age, we need to stop moving. But really, it's the stopping moving is what causes us to age. And so if you look at this image right here, where we got the x-ray, we've got the MRI, the CT, the angiogram, and look at the PET scan right here. After an adjustment, the PET scan lights up like a Christmas tree. You could put somebody on the treadmill and make them run an hour, and it wouldn't touch what happens to the PET scan after an adjustment. So think about that for a second. If you're getting adjusted once a month, or maybe you've never been adjusted, right? And you're wondering why your body is just not cooperating with you. One of the key things that we need to be doing is charging this battery. And we do that 95% of the time by what goes on in the spine. And so when we miss that adjustment, we know it, don't we? Sometimes we can't put our finger on it. but we know it charges the battery. It's the thing that charges the battery. And so when we're going, every other week, or we're going once a month, or we're missing that thing that lights the brain up like a Christmas tree. Now, if you add the exercise component on top of it, so the spine is actually getting motion to it, and it's not subluxated, and then you're adding the strength training like we just talked about right now, guys, we got to walk out of here. We got to decide and determine for ourselves that we are going to move like we never have before. Because the centurions, it's proven. That's what they do. Like, they are kicking our tails, like they're moving. And so if we can adopt something like that from them, it's getting our spine adjusted, keeping in alignment, and moving, pressing our bodies, pressing in. It says messages to your brain created by proper movement, especially of your spine, have been called an essential nutrient for brain function and development. I'm going to show you guys a video real quick here.
Madonna Buter, an 86-year-old nun. Oh, sorry, sister. Sister Madonna Buter, 86 years old, goes for a morning run. Good for you, sister. She's still active at her age. That's great. Whoa, maybe a little too active. Nap time, sister?
I don't think so.
The sister doesn't think so. Okay. Wait, what? Iron Man? Oh, no. This is a bad idea, sister. A real bad idea. Relax, she's the Iron Nun. But she won't make it. This is an Iron Man.
The first 45 didn't kill me.
You've done 45 of these? Okay. Do your thing, sister. Do your thing.
So she's done 45 Ironmans, guys. 45. And that's what she's talking about. She's 86 years old. I mean, what beautiful muscle tone, and literally that's the thing. We really have believed a lie. Like, we keep thinking, that we just need to slow down as we age. That's not what needs to happen. We need to increase our movement. We need to activate, and we need to charge that brain. And so you guys have all know about subluxation. Everybody here knows about subluxation, making sure that you're getting your spine checked, keeping your spine in alignment, making sure you remove those subluxation, because that's what's shutting that battery down. And so that's really the end of what I wanted to say in there. I just wanted to show you guys the video on that. I love this image where you can see how she actually was getting her spine corrected, and she went, see that angle right there in her neck on the right? She went from an 8 to a 2. And again, she actually was going to try to retire. This patient was. She was going to try to retire, and she decided after she started getting adjusted, she was like, no, I'm just going to keep on. She flies, and I'm just going to keep on doing it, because her body started cooperating with her, and she started not feeling old, right? And her body started cooperating with her, and she started actually getting her body aligned and starting getting active. And now she's just like, retirement. Again, I feel like that's the lie we're telling. I need to retire. How many of the centurions retire? They didn't retire. They actually press in and they do more as they get older. They refire. That's exactly right. I love that. I hope this blessed you and you guys learned something from tonight. And I'll be here if you have any questions.